There is this praise song that goes like this: all things are working for my good, 'cause He's intentional, never failing. Okay, I'm going to stop right there with the singing, if that even qualifies to be called singing. Hello, my name is Tlaleng and welcome to my channel, Single, Married, Divorced and Christian. Today, the question we're going to cover is God intentional? While I was moping around this morning feeling sorry for myself, that question dropped in my spirit. And before I could even go and search the scriptures, the answer that I gave was a resounding yes. Not only is God intentional, but He's also Jehovah Jireh. He provides for the needs of His children. You see, whatever problem that you are facing right now, it did not catch God by surprise. He already knew that you will be at the place you are at right now. Whatever trials and tribulations you're going to face tomorrow, or 2 weeks from now, or even next year, He has already gone way ahead of you to prepare a way out for you. And all that is needed from you is to hold His hand so that He can guide you out. You see, He's already been there, so He already knows the way out. Ephesians 6:10 says, be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. And also Proverbs reminds us, trust in the Lord. Lean not upon your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will direct your paths. You see, why am I saying all of this? I've got a testimony of God being intentional in my life. One evening on a hot summer's night, I received a call from an unknown number. And on the other end of the line, it was this lady that I had not seen in decades. She was never my friend because she was older than me. When we were growing up, I would see her from a distance whenever I went to visit my auntie because she stayed in the same street. So she would come to my aunt's place, just for communion and fellowship and stuff like that, just to talk to my aunt and to greet her. I knew her from a distance. We were never friends. I was never in contact with her. I was even wondering, where did she get my number? So she called me seeking some sort of assistance. But the reason she called me was not because she was looking for assistance, was because God knew that I was going to need her in my life very soon. You see, from that night when she called me, we became friends. Before that call, I never used to have any friends. And God knew that what was waiting for me around the corner was going to require that I have somebody in my life who I can call a friend, who I can trust, who I can vent out to, who can give me support. I didn't have friends in the, sense of like I've got somebody that I can call at 2 a.m. and say, my husband is doing this and that, or can we go for coffee tomorrow and catch up. I didn't have that kind of friend. But God was intentional because He knew that lady in 2014, when she called me, she was going through serious marital issues. She was on the brink of divorce. And at that time, I was happily married, or so I thought. Little did I know that just around the corner, I was going to face pain and I was going to need somebody. So not only is my God intentional, but He also provides. He provided that lady to provide comfort and solace and a listening ear, because I would just call her and say, I do not believe I'm going through this. And she would know what to say, or she would know when to keep quiet, because she was also in the same situation. My God knew that my child is going to face this pain. And if she does not have somebody in her life who can be there for her emotionally, she is going to lose her mind. She's going to go through a nervous breakdown. Because no matter how strong we are, when you go through something as painful as divorce, you need somebody. I do not care who you are. You need somebody to talk to, whether it is a therapist or a pastor, but you need somebody to talk to. And yes, those people, I did go to them, but they're only there temporarily. You cannot go to the therapist for 10 years or something. You go for while you are going through the thing, and maybe you feel like, oh, this is not working for me. You can go to your pastor, but they're not always going to be there for you. You need a constant friend. So God knew that this is a woman of God, and she's going to help my daughter through this situation. Not only was he intentional, but he also provided for me. Because in 2016, when I started going through what that lady was going, I remember that Sunday, I received a call from my husband's number, but it was not my husband on the other end. It was the husband of the wife whom my husband was cheating with. After I put that call down, I was feeling numb and weak on my knees. I felt like I could not stand up. I felt like I was too weak to stand up, but I gathered whatever strength I still had left in me. I went to my bedroom and I knelt against my bed and I called upon the Lord. I said, Father, that verse that I'm always quoting, that is one of my favorite verses, Philippians 4 verse 6 to 7, where you say that you will give us peace that surpasses all understanding, peace that does not make sense. Right now, I need that peace, because you see, my mind, a storm was raging in my mind after I received that call. I felt like my hair was going to blow, and I needed that peace, and I asked him for that peace, and he kept me calm. Calmness just washed over me. I was even able to stand up and go and finish my cooking, because I was busy cooking when that call came through. And when my husband finally walked in, I was so peaceful, and my mind was so calm, because I went to God. That's why I'm saying that when you're going through that thing, hold his hand, because he already knows the way out. I went to him and I held his hand and I said, you've got to help me. You've got to help me. So when he walked in, I was so peaceful, because God kept me calm, because I didn't want my daughter to come in and see me crying, throwing things. It was a peaceful and a calm night while I was seeking the Lord what to do, what next step to take. So I want to encourage you, whatever fire you are in right now, Malachi chapter 3 verse 3 says, he sits as a refiner and a purifier of silver. When that silversmith has got that piece of silver right in the center of the fire, purifying it, it is said that he never removes his eyes from that silver piece. Never, not even for 1 second. Because if it sits in the fire for 1 second longer, it will be destroyed. So you may be in the fire right now, but you are not alone. God is sitting there as a purifier and refiner of silver, and his eyes are on you, and he will not let you sit in that fire for 1 second longer. And when does the silversmith pull out that piece of silver from the fire? He only pulls it out when he starts seeing his reflection in the piece. So yes, you may be in the fire, but God is purifying you. And when he starts seeing his image in you, when he starts seeing his reflection in you, then he knows that it is the right time to remove you from the fire. So not only is he intentional, but he is a provider. He provided me the peace that I needed on that day. Another verse that can encourage us about God's intentionality was his intentionality when he created humanity. In Psalm 139 from verse 15, he says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I consecrated you and appointed you a prophet to the nations. So God is intentional. Nothing ever catches him by surprise. He knows the beginning from the end. That problem that you are facing, he has already gone way ahead of you to prepare the way out for you. You only need to find his hand and hold on to it and let him guide you, because Proverbs says, trust in the Lord and lean not upon your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. He knows the way out. He has already been there. Another scripture that I want to encourage you with is Esther. In the book of Esther, there was this guy called Haman. Haman hated Mordecai so much because, Haman was the right hand of the king, and he because of that, his position, people would give him respect. When they met him on the streets or at the gate of the city, they would bow down to him, but Mordecai never bowed down to him. And because of that, Haman hated Mordecai so very much. And one day he devised a plan, and somehow he got to convince the king that all the Jews, we must kill them. You must do a declaration and sign it and send it to all the provinces that you rule, that on such a day, all the Jews are going to be killed. So when Mordecai heard about that, he went to his knees. Little did Haman know that this very same king that he was instigating against the Jews because of his hatred against Mordecai was married to the niece of Mordecai. So Mordecai was able to go and ask for Esther's help to go to the king, her husband, and say, King, please stop this that you have planned. Stop it. Do not kill the Jews because they are my nation. And I don't know how the king didn't even know that he was married to a Jew. He was married to Esther, who was a Jew. And when Esther got the news from Mordecai about what Haman was planning, she was afraid. She was afraid and said, according to the law, I'm not supposed to go to the king unless he asks for me. But Mordecai sent an answer to Esther and said, don't think that you will be saved from the killing of the Jews. And how do you know? How do you even know that you were born for such a time as this? So God made sure that Esther became the queen because he knew that one day the salvation of the Jews was going to come through Esther. He knew that one day he was going to use Esther to save the Jews from being annihilated by King Ahasuerus. So we serve a God who is intentional. We serve a God who provides for his children. We serve a God who will never let his children go without food and go hungry. The psalmist say, I was young and now I'm old, yet have I never seen the Lord's children forsaken or even begging for bread. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you, whatever it is that you're going through. I want to leave you with the words that I received from a friend of mine this morning to encourage you. You may be going through divorce and you feel like, society has ostracized you. No one is on your side. Even your church is rejecting you. But I want you to know that you are of worth in the eyes of God. The quote says, don't ever forget that you are valuable and a worthy person. You are a servant of Almighty. Don't start to see yourself through the eyes of those who can appreciate you. See yourself for who you really are, a reflection of your Creator, the Almighty. When the Almighty's love is with you, then nobody else's love matters. The heart will rest and feel relief if it is settled with the Almighty, and it will worry and be anxious if it is settled with people. Do not look for your worth in the eyes of people, but look for your worth in the eyes of the Creator, who is intentional and who provides a way out for his children. You may be facing divorce right now and you feel like you've lost your respect in the society. You have lost the respect in your church. You have lost friends. You have lost the support of family. Everybody is blaming you that you could have saved your marriage. You could have done this and that. But know that in the eyes of God, you are still worthy and you are still loved. And he will provide the peace that you need. He will provide the strength that you need. He will provide the friends that you need to be with you through that difficult and painful situation. I love you, and I hope that from today, you and I will depend on Him. We will not lean upon our own understanding, but we will look for His hand and hold on to it so that He can guide us. I love you.